Welcome to another episode of I Catch Killers. Today's podcast is one I really wish I didn't have to do. See, today's guest has already appeared on the podcast. His life has been a series of highs and lows. At one stage, he was one of the highest profile sporting stars in the country. But he has also sunken to some low points, hanging out with the wrong people and on a path of self-destruction. When he last appeared on I Catch Killers podcast, it really looked like he'd turned his life around and was heading in a positive direction, but that all changed. Understanding where he came from, he grew up in a tough environment where disputes were settled with your fists. It was those old school values where you defend those you love without question. Those very values led him to finding himself in trouble with the law and doing time in prison. Well, has he learned his lesson? Can he change his ways? Well, we're going to try and find that out today, when we have a deeply personal chat with former champion boxer, NRL player, and until recently a prisoner of the state. Today's guest is none other than Garth Wood. Welcome back, Garth. I just wish we were having a different discussion about a different topic, but life takes some twists and turns, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sure does. I always look at the silver lining in everything that happens in my life these days, and it was an experience for sure. It was a big roller coaster ride, not for only myself but my family and loved ones. So, chapter. I'm glad that we're through and we're past and just moving forward.
Well, that's what we want to explore, and I met up with you after you were released from prison, and we were having a conversation. And you said a lot of people were interested in doing a story about you, which is part of the territory that comes with having a profile like you do. And we had a long sit down and chat, and I said, look, if you come on the podcast, we can talk about it from a deeply personal point of view. Like, I know that you were sort of disappointed in yourself and what you put your family through, but also the experience that you had in prison. That you look at it and go, if I can do anything, if anyone can learn from my mistakes, it's worthwhile having a chat.
Yeah, well, mate. Saying that, it's a very, very dark place. Correctional. How do you want to put it? When being locked up, especially, I remember that I was only just sitting at home having dinner with my missus, and then within a night or two, I was on the truck heading out to Parklea jail. So, I leave with my heart, and like we said, I'm always there to support and go to bat for my loved ones, and I thought I was doing the correct thing, but it showed that the system and what I thought was right by protecting my loved one, I got sent to jail for, it was only a catnap compared to some of the people that I know have been to jail, but it was a big experience and something that really humbled me.
Yeah.
And it was thinking about jail as a kid growing up and actually expecting it. I was expecting it to be a lot more, a man's man sort of experience where everyone's a tough guy, looks you straight in the face, and I thought I'd be, how do you put it, confronted with guys that were wanted to fight me on that. But a lot of it was drug addiction, mental health, which was it was hard to. I don't think you can actually set yourself for anything like that, and it was quite daunting and what's the word? Very uncomfortable. You know what I mean? It gets you in a state where, given the fact that so I went from Newtown Police Station, spent the night there, and there was a lot of drug addiction, plenty of people who were threatening self-harm, screaming, didn't want to go to jail. I spent a night there, which didn't sleep, didn't know if I was going home. We get the police officers there will say, "Man, you'll be home in the morning, you'll get bail soon," and then denied bail. Spent a night at Surry Hills, which was probably the biggest shock ever.
We'll break it down, that journey, that step-by-step journey. But I suppose the hard thing for someone like yourself, you got a lot of people on the outside that care about you. I heard it from mutual friends, and they said, "Have you heard Garth got locked up?" And it was sort of shock. How did that happen? I saw it in the newspaper.
Yeah.
Like, this comes with the profile that you had from your time playing sport.
Sure.
And Does that carry a weight on you? Yeah, like you see it in the paper. Yeah, you do something wrong and it's in the paper. It's on the news.
Yeah, well, perception's reality. No, I've got to be honest with you. Like we spoke about before, my past, growing up here, you wouldn't think it's like that. Erskineville, it's come of age, but in the 80s when I was a kid, yeah, it was a lot of fighting on the streets, and the way we were brought up, you stand your ground and you don't let anyone stand over you. But you know, the paper made me out to be this thug that took the law into my own hands. But I was raised that way. You put your hand on my missus, who it was, who's supposed to be your other half. You're putting your hands on me. So I went and sorted things out, and you know, sadly, you're not allowed to do that. But
yeah, that's and it's. I do understand what you're saying, but the reality is that the world is changing, and things that were acceptable in the past now,
yeah.
Whether that's for the better or worse, that's open to discussion. But I suppose that the message here is if you do resolve situations with violence, there's consequences.
Yeah, there's always a repercussion, and but yeah, that's hard given the fact that that's how I was raised, and I probably would go down that road again and probably still make the same mistake because that's just how I am. I wear my heart on my sleeve, but yeah, I've paid for it, and I'd probably change the situation if I had my way again. Certain things.
I've seen the fact that you can actually diffuse a situation. There was a sort of bizarre incident that happened not far from here when we were having a catch up one day, and someone's fronted you on the street and wanted to have a go at you there and then on the spot, and I watched you diffuse that. And actually, the establishment we're at, they thanked you for the manager came up and said thank you for not going on with that. And I know it was in your instinct to go full throttle on the bloke that was having a go at you, but you didn't. You diffused it.
Well, yeah, I remember the incident, and it is hard because what you've been taught from day dot, especially in the territory, you know what I mean, where someone puts on you that it's quite similar to when you're in my experience in jail. You don't let anyone get the better of you or make you look like you're wimped out or you're semi-coward. So that sort of instinct that's built in you is pretty hard to fight back. But yeah, I do have a streak in me that's, you know, quite mature. It took a long while, but I remember that situation. But yeah, I'm glad nothing eventuated that day. And you know, there's a lot of layers to me. I'm not just full steam ahead all the time.
Yeah, well, even with that incident, when you did the right thing, it was reported in the media too. And
there's plenty of eyes around here.
And I got into trouble because when it was reported in the media, because I was working in the media, I said I was there, and they said, "Well, why didn't you let us know?" And I thought, well, it was I could have been scooped, but I thought no, I didn't want to. I thought it was something, just a personal situation that you sorted out. But that is the profile that you've got. That if it was anyone else, or someone without a profile, no one would have thought anything, but it was reported in the papers.
Well, mate, I'd like to think that I always, 8 times out of 10 make the right decision, but this was too close to home, and that's just me.
We'll talk about the incident that led you to being in prison. But before I do, I just want to... This is how I last introduced you when you last appeared on I Catch Killers podcast. You're smiling, but have a listen and then we'll reflect on that. So this is the exact wording of how I introduced you. Today's guest is Garth from the Hood Wood. Garth is a former NRL player and professional boxer who at one stage was arguably one of Australia's highest profile athletes when he became the first Australian to knock out 3-time world boxing champion Anthony Mundine. There's a lot more to Garth's story than just his sporting career. He grew up in a tough environment and trouble was never very far away. It's a great story and I think you'll find it interesting and inspirational. Okay, we're talking 2 years or so ago at that time.
Yeah.
And I thought it was inspirational. You had a look over the edge of the cliff. You could have gone down a dark tunnel, hanging out with the wrong people,
Yeah.
but you seem to have your life pointed in the right direction. And then one incident has occurred, and you found yourself in prison. We'll talk about the incident in a sec, but from a personal point of view, from your personal point of view, do you get pissed off with yourself that you found yourself in prison?
Yeah. I think I was more the fact that I'd embarrassed my family, mum and dad, my daughters. You know, not everyone knows the whole story, but they just say, "Oh, he's a thug. He bashed someone. That's why he's in jail." But yeah, the heartache that I put my two daughters, my girl, little boy Harley, he was just starting at high school, and he adores me and loves me, and he's my best mate. And for them to wear all the repercussions of people talking about whatever, this, what, and just the fact that mum and dad are at that age now where their boy's in jail and they've heard a lot of things that goes on in jail, and whether or not I'm going to get myself involved in another fight in there and do a little bit more time, because I've heard of that. They've heard of situations like that before. I was actually waiting to get a phone call when I'd hear from someone inside that either mum or dad had had a heart attack, because the torment and the trauma that I was putting my family through was something that I didn't want to do, and it was all because of I couldn't help or hold my temper back, and I went and took, the law into my hands.
Yeah. I just describe the matter, because you've pleaded guilty at court, so you've pleaded guilty to assault. You were charged with assault and affray, but they dropped the affray charge upon your plea of guilty. What you got into trouble for was that you assaulted a man known to you about an incident involving his ex-partner. We can't go into the full details of what happened, but I think it would be fair to say that you took the law into your own hands. And what certainly didn't go in your favour was the incident occurred at a kids' soccer game in front of a lot of families. So I think that probably would have, if it was a back alley, maybe it wouldn't have attracted so much attention. But at a kids' soccer match in front of families, how do you feel about it?
Mate, I thought about it over and over again, especially when I was inside for the 4 months that I was. But I was full of blood, and I just thought, I'm not going to let this slip. I can see him in my sights now, so it's about time that I go and take care of things.
There was an incident that occurred between him and his ex-partner, who you were seeing.
Yeah, I'm still seeing.
Still seeing?
Very serious. I've been with her for 7 years.
Yeah. And as a result of that, that's what motivated the assault. Would that be fair to say?
Sure.
Okay. The fact that it was at a public place in front of kids, I know you well enough now. We've known each other for quite some time. Yep. I know you'd look back, if it was in front of your kids, you wouldn't want that type of behaviour. Do you look at that and sometimes and think, yeah, it wasn't the right thing to do?
No, it wasn't the right thing to do, but yeah, I put my hand up and I said it wasn't the right thing to do. I pleaded guilty, but at the same time, for the community and for the public figure that I am still with a profile, it's not the way to carry on in public. And I let it get the better of me, and we'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to lie to you, I'm straightforward.
Is that in part because of, let's not talk about what he's done, but in the environment that you grew up in?
Yeah, it's just built into me. That's how I was raised.
It was around this area, and it was a tough area back in the day. And you touched on the fact that you don't take a backward step.
Mate, you'd like to think that you're grown and you're mature, but I'm a protector and I'm a provider, and it's just something that's built in me. It's hard to say.
And this is not talking this specific incident. This is just the way you go about.
Sorry about that, but I'm not trying to prove how tough I am. I'm not. It's just my makeup and my family name. I think everyone's the same.
Yeah. Your family name, and you've got Barry, your father, who was a high-profile NRL player, or played in the rugby league.
Yeah, Newtown boy, South, Norths.
Yeah, so he had a pretty good reputation, and also your brother, Nathan.
Yeah, Natty can fire up. He's a great footballer, try scoring machine, and very handy with his hands as well.
Okay, so that's the environment you grew up in.
exactly.
I would love to see you two come to blows.
No, never.
Yeah, we'll do another episode about that. I'll get Nathan in. Okay, with what happened after the incident, without going into the details of the incident, because what we know, we put on record that you were pissed off with someone. You've seen him. There was an opportunity, and an assault occurred.
Yeah, well.
So what happened after
By
that?
that time, the way I cornered him, he was at the back and behind everyone. And I walked up towards him and I said, come on, let's go sort it out. And then I just took matters into my own hands. I probably could have went a little bit further, but he made out that I'd, what's it called, cower punched him, hit him 15 times and laid the slipper. I'm not being a big head, but I know how to do some damage. If I cower punch you and hit you 15 times, I think you'd be in a coma.
To ask you this question, knowing the consequences, was it worth it?
Nah, it wasn't worth what I'd put my family and that through. You know, we're not here to measure how big my dick is or how tough I am. You know, it took me a while to adapt to jail, but like we spoke about, that's my makeup. I protect my family, and I did a bad thing, and I put my family and my children and my missus through a heartache. Because really, there's a lot of stories when people get locked up, and they either never come back out, or they see it opens a window that they can't shut. It's a different lifestyle. You're playing with fire.
It's a tough thing that you're talking about here. So let's break it down. On one hand, yeah, your moral code is, well, if someone hurts or interferes with someone that I care about, there's going to be consequences, and that sort of played out.
Yeah, and stupidly, I've gotten myself into trouble, but that's something that has been instilled and built into me as a kid. We speak about the neighbourhood that I grew up in, my family. If I didn't do it, I wouldn't be able to live with myself.
Yeah.
That's just how I am. I'm not trying to say how hard I am, but that's you're a product of your environment.
Yeah. But now looking at if it's the thing I see here is that it's about protecting your family, but then on the other hand, you're saying because I've done it, I've hurt the family. So that's the difficult.
Where do you win?
You can't win, can you?
No.
That's and whether you like it or not, you're a role model, and what you say, and it's Garth Wood. He's a tough guy. This is what Garth would do. That carries, and people in that grow up in tough environments still would have that attitude. What's your attitude to that? It's just not worth it.
Yeah, I remember as a kid, you'd hear the teacher or your dad say, "Mate, just walk away. Just walk away." You know what? It's probably wise. You know, I've got to really. I'm getting a lot older now, and there's a lot of there's always someone better, but I'm not here to challenge the world. But you know what? There's going to be a day when you're going to just walk away and go, is it really worth it? Because really, one punch hits his head, I'm doing life, or vice versa. Someone could knock me from behind or whatever. It's just, at the end of the day, you got to really walk away.
It's interesting you say that, but you brought in another aspect of it too, and I hadn't even considered that in the chat that we're having now. The consequences, you could throw a punch and the bloke could hit his head. I've seen it when I was in homicide, and all of a sudden you're facing a murder charge. And
really, my intentions are not to kill him.
Yeah.
Well, whoever, but just to let you know that you fucked up here. Now wake up to yourself. I'll give you a little touch up, and now I'll be on my way.
You've probably seen enough street fights and that to know that sometimes things can go bad.
I certainly have. Yeah. I had a few friends who have passed away from altercations in the street. Some been shot, some been stabbed. Like you said, head injuries. Yeah. Which leads to coma, and so it's a lot of bravado and ego. Someone pushes the envelope, and it's just it goes back to the barbaric stages where what's instilled in humans, that the instinct you can can carry on, and a lot of innocent people can get hurt, not just people that haven't been on the end of your punches, but your family. Apart from that, the heartache and not seeing you ever again, or whoever you hit, they got mothers, they got fathers, they got children. Yeah, I should walk away. Looking back at it now, it probably wasn't worth it, but it's a funny thing that it's hard to fight against.
Yeah. If it's in your instinct, I appreciate you being so open in saying how you feel, and I think this is why I think it's good we get you on the podcast, and people can actually, you're taking us right through your thought process and everything else, and these are the things that people have got to weigh up, and I don't think anyone, most people growing up have had situations where they've got to make a decision. Do I dive in or do I walk away from it? And you look at the consequences. So I think the wake-up call for you, and this is in our chats, how the hell did I end up in this situation? How the hell did I get locked up? So let's just take it through just step by step. The incidents happen. We've discussed that, the whys and fours of the incident. It's happened. You go home. I know I've had confrontations sometimes, and I get home, I might have won the confrontation, but I don't feel good about myself. No. I don't get up there, get home and go, wow, that feels good. Were you sitting there going, am I a dickhead? Why do I do that? Or what might happen? What was going through your mind when you got home?
Well, I'm not a bully. Never have been. Dad always instilled in us, listen, I find out that you're picking on blokes or bullying everyone because I know you can hold your hands up. You're going to have to deal with me. So I was always someone, at primary school growing up, someone that's getting picked on, I'd go and back them, and I'd tell the bloke to pull up, this and that. But after I knew that bloke wouldn't be a challenge to me, but the fact that he did what he did, I thought he deserved that I'd have to go and sort it out. So, I was thinking, that I know what this bloke's about. Even though it's been a while, no one's knocked on the door yet. It got to nearly 8 o'clock. I was thinking, he's probably thought to himself, I shouldn't have done what I did. Maybe I deserve what I did, but that didn't happen. 8:30, police knock on the door, and I was in bed, and 3 of them come in, tell me to get on the ground, more or less. Do I have anything on me? And I said no, and I was pretty,
So this is in your home?
This is in my bedroom.
You
3 of them come in.
Who are you living there with?
I'm with my uncle.
Yeah.
He's 76. He's had a quadruple bypass. He suffers a bit of dementia, so I'm his minder. I didn't think it would be that big a thing. I thought it was just going to be a fight, and I'll probably get charged and be let out and come back home. By the time I got to Newtown Police Station, the glebe officer who he went and reported to said, no bail, and even the police officer at Newtown said, mate, you should be fine in the morning. You might just have to sleep it off here. I didn't sleep at all. I was just
how did you feel just there? Like when you're at home, what day? It was a Sunday night?
It was a Sunday afternoon.
Okay.
Evening.
Sunday night. So you're at home. If ever you feel safe, you're at home on Sunday night, sleeping in bed.
Yeah.
And then you're on the floor, face down, I would imagine, being searched and handcuffed.
Handcuffed and questioned.
In your own home.
And they didn't really ask me, what do you got to say? How do you see the incident happening? But I did the wrong thing, taking the law into my own hands and doing it in public. And the fact that I was a professional boxer and did it in the vicinity of children that were around on a Sunday afternoon for their sport.
That would have been.
That's a big thing. That's a big no-no. Yeah, and I understand now.
Yeah.
There's 8-year-olds, probably younger, who were there with their family, and parents don't want any of them to witness any of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so you have regrets about that?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, what they're saying. Okay, so here you are. You've been arrested at your home. You're taken to the police station. You would have been charged for them to refuse bail.
Mm-hmm.
You spent the night in the cells at Newtown?
I did. I was expecting to go home in the morning because I'd never been convicted of anything before.
Yep.
Been aware of what goes on. Got a lot of friends that got hooked into early days, drugs, arm robs, whatever you call it, on the wrong side of the law. So, but I was never quite aware of, this is your first conviction, you should be right, you'll get bail or even anything.
And I just want to make a point, because I tell mates that, might trip over the edge and end up inside. It's confronting, because I see it from the other side. I see it with police, but all of a sudden you've got no control over what you do, where you go. It must play with your mind. How old were you?
When
you were arrested?
45.
Okay.
And full of piss.
Yeah.
I was 94 kilos, mind you, so I'm drinking piss every weekend. My business that I thought was going pretty good wasn't. It went through two coronas.
Yeah.
And then the interest rate went through the roof. So everyone, first thing people do, they tear up their membership. So
you were running a training.
Yeah,
boxing.
It wasn't going that 100%. And then I was in slight bit of depression on the piss on the weekend. And to walk in the jail, 45-year-old, unfit, first time, not to know what to expect. And mind you, the whole thing that was surprising was the amount of drug addiction and mental health, which was like,
what
you're dealing with blokes that you don't even know. Like, there's so many different personalities.
You went to court after your night in the cells at Newtown, and bail refused.
Yep.
The magistrate said no, you're not getting bail.
No.
Are you surprised by that?
Yeah, that's when it really hit home. Thinking, fuck,
what have I done?
I'm off. I'm going to jail. There's big time here.
And you're at Sydney Police Centre cells.
Surry Hills.
Surry Hills.
Yeah, that was.
Talk us through that, because I've spoken to a lot of people who've done a lot of time, but that always leaves a memory.
Mate, that's jail itself.
Yeah.
I compare that to Parklea. When I went to Parklea was privatised, and that's where I talk about dark drug addiction and people off with the ferries, because they come out straight off the street, straight on the truck, and that's what Surry Hills is like. Half of them are full of it, ice, heroin, whatever.
Who were you sharing cells?
Yeah.
And who were your cellmates?
Just randoms, I don't know.
Yep.
Cockroaches, shit, piss up the wall, stunk. Everyone, and I remember there was this bloke screaming, "I'm not fucking going. Nah, fuck, I'm not going." And in come this squad. And I've heard about this squad, but never witnessed it.
Yeah.
And they're massive, all jacked up, geared up. Fucking, they got masks on, shields. They throw gas bombs. Everyone fucking vomits. They rip the shit out of this person, chuck them. Because there's a truck that either goes in the morning, which goes to Parklea, or the Arvo one goes to Silverwater.
Yeah.
So it's fucking pot lotto where you're going. And then after hearing this yelling and screaming, and then the guards punching the shit out of this person, busting their face and blood everywhere, it's like, fuck me, Dad, what have I done? I should have walked away.
But I really want to break that down. Like, you're laughing about it now, but you've gone from, you got your freedom. You were spiralling a little bit because your business has gone bad, and you're drinking, probably drinking too much.
Excessively, yeah.
Okay, so there you get into this situation. Are you just sitting there with your hands on your head, going, "What the hell have I done?"
Yep. Thinking, fuck me, Dad, what am I going to do when I get out of here? Like, not knowing. Fair enough, just a bloke on the street, but when you know that they're full of fucking drugs, and obviously just a small little time that I spent in there, or I was in there for a day and a half, Surry Hills, and you could see that this isn't life as I know it. These people are fucking jacked up on whatever, and who knows what they've been through. You know, what's their intentions in here? They trying to fucking muscle in, and you watch movies and you think, fuck, everyone's got a point to prove. You look at the bloke the wrong way, they're going to fucking say something. So even though I knew I could handle myself, it's still who's with who. There's a hyenas on the fucking wall. Is he with him? Are they all going to jump me? Yeah, it's fucking quite daunting.
Yeah. Okay, so you day and a half, Sydney Police Centre, and then you're not getting bail.
I'm on the fucking truck.
Talk us through that experience, because again, you're 45 and you're going,
Mate, I asked to suspect to a lawyer, my lawyer. They didn't give a fuck about my lawyer.
yeah,
I was just thinking,
they
fuck.
just get a duty solicitor
Yeah.
who was available.
Yeah, some legal aid.
Yeah,
And he more or less agreed with the judge.
yeah,
And fuck, it was just the whole system. Well, my first experience, I just thought I was already found guilty given the fact that my past, being a professional boxer, and the fact that I went to a kid's football match and took the law into my own hands. I was gone.
yeah.
There's no chance of me them thinking, oh, hang on, we may have got it wrong. Yeah, you can go home. You better go home.
Had you had any communication with your family?
Nothing.
So no calls?
Nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
And
It
were you
was tough.
thinking, what the hell are they thinking?
Yeah, especially Dad. Dad's the boss. And I know that he'd be fucking filthy
Yeah.
and embarrassed and panicking about me because he knows that I can't just sit there and let someone put shit on me. I think he was more in thinking back at it, the 4 months I spent in there, every time he spoke to me, don't you fucking touch anyone. I said,
Yeah.
what do you want me to fucking do? I said, I can't just sit here and say, oh, I better not do anything to you. He goes, mate, you'll be in there a lot longer. You don't know what the fuck you could be doing a lot longer than fucking this. He goes, mate, we don't even know if you're fucking coming home. Just please, mate, don't touch no one. So he was panicking from that. And the great thing was that I didn't go looking for trouble, but I knew I was not, if there's such thing, jail fit.
Yeah.
I was a 45-year-old man, which is pretty old. It's a young man's jail. And I wasn't fit at all. I had a little bit of a beer gut. So inside my cell, I started doing burpees. By the time the food itself, because I went out to Parklea, which is privatised, you wouldn't feed it to your dog.
Yeah.
So I was just drinking water and eating the fruit. Plus, I just started training. I was doing 100 burpees a day. Oh, I wasn't doing it straight away because I wasn't up to that sort of fitness level, but I'd do, maybe 50 burpees a day, just slowly but surely.
Yeah.
I got up to 500 push-ups, and then when I was let out in the yard, I'd run. But until I got my buy-up in, I was just eating tuna and rice. So when I really hit my straps and I started feeling real good about myself and training, I was doing that micro-fasting, which I took it upon as, all right, who knows how long I'm going to be here? Could be a couple of months. I'll take it as a prep for when I was fighting. And I remember when this was the great thing about my past and boxing. I knew I had a fight on my hands. I don't know what sort of fight, but there was a battle where I had to be switched on and fit and just had to read everyone. So I took it upon myself like I was in the contender house or leading up for a fight back in the past. So I wasn't eating any of the shit food in there. I was eating tuna and rice, plenty of water, micro-fasting, and I was only eating one meal a day, which was between 2 o'clock and 4:30. And to be honest, if I was fighting again today, that's how I'd train, and that's how I'd fucking get my head around everything.
I saw you after you came out, and you certainly looked fitter.
I've lost 10 kilos.
Fitter and leaner than I'd seen you in a while.
I'm pretty switched on now, just day-to-day stuff. So
yeah,
not
I
bad.
want to talk about where you're moving forward from that, but I just want to take us in that jail environment. So you've gone from the Surry Hills at the police centre, and which was the first prison you went to?
Parklea.
Parklea, okay, and that's I've heard a lot of people say things about Parklea.
They put me in quarantine.
How come?
Because I think they do that with everyone straight off the street. They want to dry you out. They really don't know everyone. I think they more or less think everyone's on the gear.
Did you, just with the alcohol that you're drinking excessively, was it you having a detox there? Did that?
I wasn't that bad.
Okay.
I was overweight, not eating the right food and drinking a fair bit of piss on the weekends. During the week I wasn't drinking.
So when they put you in quarantine, what's that involved? Are you on your own in isolation?
No, I was in with a kid that just was a part of Parklea, which was called the Concrete Jungle. He'd been four-outed by some Koori kids, and he'd been hit over the head with a can of tuna. He had a big zipper on his head.
Yeah.
And mind you, I'd been in holding cell after holding cell. So for 3 or 4 days I hadn't slept. I'd been in holding cells, and they finally threw me in a cell with a bloke. Mind you, was bald with a long ponytail, a white fella. He'd been 4-outed by Koori fellas. He had a big zipper on his forehead, or across his side of his face. And poor bloke was petrified, and I just said, mate, just go back to bed. Just be quiet and fucking shut up, go to sleep. But he was tiny. I wasn't trying to stand over him, but he halfway arced up a bit. I said, mate, I haven't slept. Just go to bed. I'll talk to you in the morning. He was wired up already, panicking probably because he'd already been flogged. And I just finally got to bed. I didn't get to bed, just tossing and turning, keep looking at him because I just didn't know what to expect after everything I'd been through for the last 4 days. So they didn't let me out of there with this bloke for nearly 5 days. And by the 3rd day, he thought he was going back to the concrete jungle, which he said it was. And he had a razor. He started yelling out. The bloke was Mr. Colonel or whatever his name, the head screw. And he was saying, I'll fucking do it. I'll fucking do it. He was threatening to self-harm. So that was, fuck me, Dad, when am I in here? And then I had to counsel him, more or less, just telling him, mate, you'll be right. I bullshitted him that I knew the screw. Yeah. I ended up confessing who I was. And he went, oh, yeah, I remember you. I said, mate, you'll be right. I'll make sure that he hasn't put you back in the concrete jungle. And then after the next day, I just yelled out and I said, mate, am I going to get the fuck out of here or what? And he finally came up to the screw and he said, mate, we've looked at you. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, we saw you bashed that fucking bloke. You go pretty good. I thought, is it on the news already? He said, what are you talking about? What I was in there for? He goes, no, we're talking about you and Mundine. I said, oh, fuck. He goes, anyway, you're not on the gear. We know that now. You haven't been hanging out. We're going to put you in a working pod. And I said, what the fuck's a working pod? So then...
So you had no idea. I
didn't know what the fuck I was doing or where I was going.
Excellent adventure.
Yeah.
Where are we off to next?
Spending me the fuck. He goes, mate, we've seen that you're not on the gear, and we know that you're not a fucking cock. You're all right. You haven't given us any dramas. We're going to put you in a working cell, a working pod. I said, all right. So I went to a working pod where all the agents and that was a cooking one, or you had to go to the factory and I think you were packing boxes for Qantas or something. But by the time I went in there, I spent 3 days in there. And then I said, can I be put in a cell by myself? Because I was a first timer, I was a green card there, because you may commit suicide, this and that.
Right.
There was a person of interest because I was a boxer. After a while, because they saw I was sweet, they put me to a head sweeper, which was pretty good. So I didn't have to go and work in one of the pods. I was just always, people come into the cell, I'd get them a room or I'd give them their lunches. So after a while, I started adapting to jail life, but I wasn't adapting to the isolation of how my daughters, how my missus, the little bloke was, Harley, or mum and dad.
What was the first time you got to speak to your family after your arrest?
Yeah, about a week and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was tough. I'm sure it would have done my mum and dad's head in, and my daughters and my girl and Harley. Yeah. So that's the major thing about getting locked up and going away. It's not so much. After a while, I adapted to it, but it's your loved ones and everyone that's, outside
close,
and their imagination thinking, geez, I know what he's like. I hope this hasn't happened. And I could see, especially talking to my mum and dad on the phone when I finally got to talk to them, the panic, and then you pick up on how mum and dad are getting old and that, and yeah. That was tough. That was really a kick in the teeth.
And I just
going back to your cell and just thinking, "Fuck, what have I done?"
Because you got so much time to think there, so that must be running through your mind. Do you rewind it back and go, "Why did I do this?" Like the sliding door moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the heartache that I've put on everyone else, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Don't get me wrong. The first 3 or 4, 5 days was like, Jesus, fucking, what am I into here? Where the fuck am I going? Like, it's not life as you know it. In police jails, holding cells, and just when you actually get in the big house, you don't know what's around the corner. And just the fact that unaware of what is going to be confronted with, yeah, that's a real fuck me dead. What's next?
Yeah. And, you go in with, and what did they you said you were marked because you were a boxer.
And they put me down as a POI, person of interest.
Yeah.
Given I had a profile, maybe people were going to stamp me for money, or
But
who knows.
you would have also thought going into that environment, my reputation, is that going to cause me dramas?
Yeah,
too?
exactly.
Because someone might call you out or
Everyone's there to, it's
make a name for himself.
Top dog. Well, you can't say that word in there, but everyone wants it.
Don't say dog.
Yeah, don't do that. But yeah, everyone wants a reputation or wants to be known, regarded as, the tough man in there. But I was lucky enough. I just looked people straight in the face, and I wasn't a mug. But they saw with the amount of training I was doing, and I was quite humble. I didn't get any dramas in there.
It didn't go in there with an attitude.
Yeah.
All right. Look, we might take a break.
Sure.
When we get back, I want to talk about the impact it's had on your family. You've alluded to it, that you're concerned about how your parents would be thinking, and everyone else involved in your life and what they would be going through while you're inside. So we'll unpack that, and then we're going to talk more about your time in jail and the lessons that you've learnt that hopefully pass on to other people.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Okay.
For sure.
Cheers.
Thanks.